Welcome to the second and final part of Mod My Mazda 3, where today we're going to finish the build and then unveil it to Moose. We are going to get things started here by installing this cold air intake from AEM. As you can see, it's got a long tube which allows it to drop down into the wheel well area to isolate the filter from hot engine bay air. So it is a true cold air intake, and as you can see, this filter is made in partnership with K&N, and it uses their dry flow technology. So this is a synthetic material which doesn't require any oiling, but it can be washed and reused. So it's very handy that way. Instructions, well, I shouldn't say instructions, but the claimed power gains are a max gain of 6 horsepower and 8 pound-feet of torque. As you can see, it makes good power all the way across the rev range. So this should definitely spice things up a little bit, and typically with a cold air intake, you also get some good induction noise. So I think that'll be kind of a fun thing to add as well. So let's get to bolting this up. So we've quickly loosened this clamp here, and we've undone the top of the airbox here. So I should just be able to pull this out now. To get the lower airbox and this intake duct out of here, just a couple fasteners, and looks like it just sort of sits on some studs down in the engine bay here. Yep, here she comes. Try not to break anything here. There we go. Look at that contraption.
Whoa,
all the resonators in the world are happening here. So this was designed not to make any induction noise. What we're putting in now is gonna give us some induction noise. Now what is this, everybody? Moose is doing some kind of like wildlife conservation effort in his engine bay. Looks like some kind of little cocoon that, I don't know, some larva was living in there.
Wow, what is it made out of? Like
it's
mud?
Like mud, basically, I think, yeah. Wow, it's really weird. As you can see, we've got our air intake tube here in place, hose clamped down here, recirc is connected, and the MAF sensor wiring used to live up here on the stock intake. Now it's gonna kind of tuck down underneath because the sensor's been relocated down below here. Now I'm installing the dry flow filter. You can see it's actually clocked here. So we're thinking for clearance to the wheel well liner on this side, we need to clock it with this to the front. Filters in and tighten down, so we just need to reassemble the under tray here. And for those of you who are wondering, no, we're not doing an exhaust system, and that's really just for the reason that this is Moose's daily driver. He's had a few run-ins with Johnny Law with loud exhaust in the past, so we figured let's keep this quiet and civilized. He'll still get the fun of that induction noise when he gets on the gas. Things are getting serious now, everyone. We are about to install these ST suspension coilovers. This is their X series coilover, which uses this galvanized strut body with an additional coating on it so that it should handle the winters here if Moose chooses to leave these on the car for the winter. And these are really designed as a street setup. So this is not a race car. This is Moose's daily driver. So we thought, let's put a really high quality street setup on here. But they do increase spring rate slightly, and it will certainly make the car drive better, reduce body roll. It'll feel sportier, but the focus here is really on ride quality. So these will not harm ride quality in any way. In our experience, we've run these on a bunch of different cars, and they do really ride exceptionally well. As you can see, these do not come with a top hat or a camber plate, though they do include this locator on the top. And normally what you would do is swap the top hat off of your stock assembly onto here, and that requires a spring compressor to compress the main spring off that. Or there's other getaways to do it, but we figured let's just go out and buy a couple of these. These are like 30 bucks a piece. We only need the fronts. So that way you have a fully assembled unit. We can zap the top nut on there, and we can slap that in there, and that way Moose has a fully assembled OE unit should he decide to, say, swap them back on for winter duty, which some people may do. There we have it, everyone. Our STX coilovers are in place and installed, and I should mention these are incredibly affordable for what is a German designed, engineered, and manufactured product that passes all of the very strict German TÜV standards. It's like under 900 bucks for these, which I'm kind of blown away by. And even though they're made of a galvanized material with a protective coating on them, I'm gonna hit them with a little fluid film just to prevent any rust from forming on what was already a very rusty end-link nut, and on the threads too, because I find if you don't treat the threads, they can start to corrode, and then it makes adjusting the ride height a nightmare. So just to make Moose's life a little easier, I'm gonna throw some of Pete's favorite sauce on here.
In the back here, we have a simple shock and spring setup, which should be a pretty easy install. The one thing Dave forgot to mention is these are non-adjustable for dampening. So these are preset from ST suspension, and obviously they're gonna provide a great ride. So what we're gonna have to do here is remove 2 nuts up here, 1 nut down here to take the shock off, which should be pretty simple. We're going to have to swap over the shock mount. And then for the spring, I think we're gonna have to drop the lower control arm. Looks like this spring is gonna come out with ease. And I did notice Moose has installed what looks like a rear sway bar from Eibach. He is getting serious with this car. Holy smokes, I bet it turns pretty good with that setup. So here is our issue. The metal bushing that holds this shock on is seized onto this stud. So instead of trying to like beat it off or whatever, I'm going straight to our bolt buster, which is a heat induction tool. And it is going to heat this up to the point where this is glowing red, and then I'm gonna try to smash it off. And it's not moving, no. Put some more heat into it. Oh, there it goes. All right, wow, there it is. Okay, so as you can see, Moose is not putting his stock shock back in. That is mangled. And now, I'm not gonna touch this, but I should be able to rotate this bushing off of here. Had to hit it with the bolt buster again, but now, this should, there it goes, rotate off. You can see how rusty it is and whatnot, and how tight it is on there. Holy, there it is. And
That
there is your bushing. Guys, I've gotta say, the bolt buster tool here that I'm using, I will put a link in the description. As for everything in this video, there's a link in the description, but this tool is absolutely amazing. It eliminates the need for you to use propane torch or acetylene torches, the mess that happens. This can actually heat it and concentrate the heat, as you guys just saw. So it's a really awesome tool if you're dealing with any type of Rust Belt cars. They're not necessarily cheap, but they're worth their weight in gold. Now I'm going to install the adjustable spring collar here, and it fits up just like that. And then we've got this bottom piece that holds it in place with 3 bolts. So with this in place, this is what allows us to adjust our ride height, and it works very easily. You get a large Allen head here, and you can see, and you can put it in here, and then you can raise and lower the spring height. So it's super, super cool, very easy to do. So one minor thing that I just found out is I had to open up the top mount hole to slide the ST suspension shock onto. As you can see, the thread diameter is a little bit larger, so not a big deal for those of you that are doing that. It's just take a drill, open it up, and now I can finally get this in here and wrap this install up.
And now for arguably the most exciting, the most impactful part of every build, and that is changing out your wheels and tires. I mean, nothing changes the look of your car more than the wheels, and nothing changes the performance more than the tires. So we've gone pretty big for Moose here. We must really love you, big guy, because these are some quality wheels. These are Anki's TSV wheel. They're part of their tuning series in an 18x8 plus 45 offset in this really nice storm gray color. It's got like lots of metal flake in it. It's a really beautiful finish. You can also get it in a gloss black or a gloss bronze. And it's built with their MAT Spec E technology, which is their highest flow forming technology. So they're a very light and very strong wheel. And we have wrapped them in Nitto's NT 555 G2s. This is a tire I'm quite familiar with because we tested a set of them on our 350Z drift car. And Von Gittin Jr. actually drifts on these in their 200 treadwear spec. But these are the 320 treadwear spec summer tire, ultra high performance summer tire. And we opted for a 225 45 18. And as you can see, it's a pretty aggressive summer tire. It's got big shoulder blocks, but it's still got lots of siping. Woo, those look good. And because we maxed out the camber on the struts, there's a slot in the top strut bolt that allows you to put some camber in and out. We went full camber on it just to make it grippier in the front end. And because of that, we added a 5mm spacer in the front here just to bring the the top of the wheel out to the same position as it is on the rear, so it's got a consistent look front and rear, and I think it looks perfect for a street car. It's not super aggressive, it's just slightly inside the fender lip, but still way more aggressive than OE, and obviously a much nicer style wheel. And by the way, we should mention those wheel spacers are also ST suspension. This is their DZX system, which comes with a spacer, and then you can get the hub centering rings in a variety of styles based on your application. We happen to have the right ring here for the Mazda. Stole them from one of our other projects, Moose, so you're welcome, buddy. And for all of you who said recently, oh, wheel spacers aren't safe, these are actually perfectly safe. So safe, in fact, that they pass TÜV regulations in Germany, and they have specifications here for how many thread turns you need to have to be safe. It says 6.5 turns on this style wheel stud, which we have more than, so this is a perfectly safe setup to run on the street. Before we do the big reveal, we're gonna polish this car and we're gonna install this Sprint Booster V3. It's a pretty cool product. This is designed to intercept the signal between the engine and the electronic throttle pedal in any car that is drive-by-wire. And what it does is it modifies that signal and sharpens up or speeds up throttle pedal response. So a lot of times the OEMs tune the pedal to be very lazy on tip-in, and just as you're starting to accelerate, they kind of want to smooth out the driving experience, so they can be very lazy. In fact, Moose complained to me about maybe the one thing he disliked about the car was the fact that it had like a dead spot at the bottom of the pedal. It was just lazy. It didn't feel like it had 155 horsepower because the throttle just wasn't responding the way he wanted. So ordered one of these up, and it's incredibly simple. You pull out your drive-by-wire pedal, 2 bolts, and you plug it in so it goes in between the factory connection, and this little controller then runs up to the dash. We're just gonna mount it on the dash with a little double-sided 3M tape, and this lets you toggle through or switch through the various modes. So there's an off mode where it just behaves like stock. There's a sport mode where it'll give you up to like 30% faster responding throttle, and there's a racing mode where it'll give you up to I think 60% faster responding throttle, and there's like 9 settings within both sport and racing. So there's a lot of tunability here. As you can see, we've got the Sprint Booster installed here conveniently next to the steering wheel. I've got it in Street Mode 8, which I think should be like a good sort of median setup. We'll show you more about how it affects the driving experience once we get Moose in here and we'll get his driving impressions. Man, I am super stoked to show you how good this car looks, but you're gonna have to wait just a few more minutes here because we are gonna give this car a quick wash and a cut and polish because the paint's looking pretty tired on it. It's only a 4-year-old car, but it's lived a hard life so far, as that rust underneath would indicate. So we do want to make it look as good as we can for Moose, but we're down to the wire here. We only got a couple hours before he comes to collect his car. So rather than making you sit through this process, let's just show you what it looks like right now. Looks incredible, man. I'm so pumped on how this turned out. It's like a whole new car, and the way the cosmetics change the appearance of it, it is just a night and day difference. I think you guys will agree, and we finished it just in the nick of time because Moose is on his way here with my truck. So without further ado, let's bring the big man in here. Moose has just rolled into the driveway here, so he's gonna be making his glorious entrance any moment now, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna be surprised. At least he will be surprised to see his car is kind of semi-hidden, as you'll understand momentarily here. So, aha, the door is open. Here comes our large, sweaty friend.
What is going on?
Yeah, we decided to paint your car, so that's why it's still curing under the plastic there. Not really, but we did decide to maybe mod your car a little bit while you had the Tundra. We figured it's your daily driver. It looks a little boring. Let's spice it up a little. So, you ready for this or what, buddy? You ready? There it goes.
Damn!
Look at that.
She's spicy.
Woohoo! Does it look like the same car?
No, not really. It was kind of a boring, daily driver. I mean, nice looking car, but
Yeah.
this looks good.
It had good bones. It just didn't have any of the flash that it needed. And now it's got the flash. We put this ABS front lip on here. I think this is called the MZ style front lip that we picked up from jspec.com. And you'll notice out back that we also did a wing. Before we go there though, Moose, the wheel and tire. I mean, What changes the look of a car more than the wheels and tires? Obviously, the paint has been given a more than just a wash and wax. We did a wash and then a followed cleanup, and then we polished it all with all the good stuff. We used our roof polisher and the Sonax stuff, and oof, it looks new again, doesn't it?
Oh, it's shiny.
The paint really pops. So out back, we noticed you had a little carbon fiber garnish on the corner here, which is gone now because this one-piece carbon fiber wing replaces that, and just gives the rear end like, man, it gives it that proper rally car vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's
Hot hatch.
Hot hatch. Ford Kazi
Yeah.
/ Focus RS, which I love that look. And
Yeah.
It's tight.
Yeah, I don't think we can call it a hot hatch power-wise, but at least looks-wise, it's a hot hatch now.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, so done a bunch of performance mods that we'll talk about on the road test, because we are going to go for a road test. But let's pop the trunk here real quick, because we decided to put a little, I don't know, like a little thank you gift package together for you for all the help you give us around the shop. In case you guys are wondering why we've done this for Moose, it's not just because he's such a beautiful specimen, it's also because he like wired in our lift for us. He's always here helping out. Like he just brings us random tools that he knows we don't have, and he buys them for us and doesn't ask for anything in return. So he's just one of those guys that gives and gives and gives. So we're giving him back a little extra here, including these WeatherTech floor liners. So this is their digital, their laser, measured cargo liner with this Moose spec rollout flap, and we put this aluminum Mazda garnish here that we vinyl wrap, so you can't even tell it's aluminum, or maybe it's stainless. I forget now, but. So now when you're sliding things in out of the back, you're not going to wreck your car so much. And Pete figured you need some of his special hot sauce. This is, of course, fluid film, which is a great rust and corrosion preventer. So we noticed underneath, this being a Quebec car, she was a little rusty.
Yeah.
So, spray that in your armpits too if you feel like it. And we're also loading you up on Valvoline's new advanced full synthetic. They've just reformulated this as well as their high mileage oil. And this is like 50% better than the industry standards as far as like engine protection and wear goes. It's really amazing stuff. Obviously, you know that we run Valvoline on all our cars, so we figured we got to get you on the same program here. And last but not least, the previous episode, which you will see soon, was sponsored by Manscaped. So we figured we'd throw in this Manscaped package, which uses their Lawnmower 3.0 razor. And it's, as the name implies, it's not designed for your beard because that's always perfectly trimmed anyway. This is designed for regions below the waist, really. So, in fact, with names like the ball preserver, or sorry, the crop preserver and the crop reviver, ball toner and ball deodorant, you get a good idea of what it's all about. So you're gonna be as fresh as a daisy down there, Moose. Can't speak for the rest of you, but let's see how much we can make him sweat now by taking him for a rip in his own car. All right, Moose, we are cruising in your car, which, by the way, I really enjoy driving. This thing drives exceptionally well. And do you notice any differences right off the bat here?
Well, the throttle response is much better.
Yeah.
I mean, it tips in nice, and I can hear intake noise, which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Ride is actually quite good. I mean, Hamilton roads are rough.
Yeah, this is a rough section of road we're on right now here. These are, I don't know if I told you, these are ST suspension. This is their X series coilover, which is designed as a street setup. So it's meant to be sportier, and obviously it has ride height adjustability. Oh, by the way, new touch point here, your big shiny knob.
Yeah.
Again, we were kind of playing off the whole carbon fiber idea, so we thought, why not throw this in here? This was like $40 on Amazon, so if you don't like it, by all means, just donate it to a hobo or whatever. But so far, what do you think? Do you like the higher position of the knob?
I do like the high position. I'm not sure about the shape.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a little thin.
Yeah, it's a bit thin and long.
Yeah, exactly. There may be jokes about that in
Yes,
the
I
previous
prefer a bit more
episode.
girth, personally.
Yeah,
so.
I think a girthy knob is a good thing. So
Yeah.
maybe you want to go back to the stock one. Yes, there's some induction noise there, but it's subtle.
It is nice.
It is subtle, but it's nice. It also apparently adds like 5 or 6 horsepower, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
Although it sounds like the sprint boosters added a lot of, theoretical power. It's added that sort of like seat of the pants power just by being more responsive.
Yeah, I know that I can't get over how much of an improvement it is. I mean, I'm not normally a big thing on these sort of mods, but this car's throttle response was so soft because of fuel economy. And
Yeah.
this really woke the car up.
Yeah, just feels like it wants to get up and go now as soon as you go to the gas.
Yep.
All right, Moose, well, we went for a quick little drive there, and any final impressions, thoughts, things you might change?
Nothing had really changed. Obviously, we have to tweak the ride height a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's to be expected. This is, I guess, is the first time we've driven this car.
It is.
So, a little bit of tweaking. Other than that, I mean, it looks great. It rides good. It sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I think it's a win. I'm really stoked on how good it looks. I mean, just the visual impact is incredible. Yeah. So people are going to be looking twice at your car now, where before they would just,
No.
it would have been any other commuter car and no one would have cared. So I'm pretty pumped on it, and I think he may be too. And maybe he's excited about using that lawnmower 3.0 down there too, Moose. And as a matter of fact, if you guys want to get in on Moose's Manscaped deal, if you go to manscaped.com and use code or just speed20, you will get a discount on it. So you can be groomed like Moose if that's your goal in life. And I think that's a wrap on this one, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. We really appreciate the support. Of course, if you want to give us a little extra support, we have this Patreon thing that we do. So patreon.com/Speed Academy. And of course, hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell is always a great thing for us too. And in the comment section, let us know what car we should mod next. Maybe you think we should do a truck, a van, a diesel,
Vespa?
a Vespa. Let us know what you think.
Dave's been chirping me about how dirty my car is, and I haven't done much to it lately. And granted, I haven't vacuumed it for probably 3-4 weeks. But let's have a look at Dave's truck, since apparently cleanliness is important. There is so much schmutz. I mean, look at this. Look at the seats. Look at this. When's the last time you cleaned your car, Davy Pratt?